Cheers! Welcome to Movie Bitches! Episode 196. Tonight we're reviewing Hereditary. You guys, I blame you. All I kept hearing was Alyssa Edwards this, tongue pop that. You guys have to see it. Please review it. Please review it. And I'm not listening to you ever again.
I would have been surprised if you liked this movie, honestly.
Toni Collette was fabulous. Duh.
But that's pretty much how I sold you on going to see it. I was like, but Toni Collette's in it.
Exactly.
So...
I mean, her Oscar speech in the middle, great. Loved it.
She had kind of... I would say multiple Oscar speeches.
She did have a couple, but there was the one at the dinner table that I was just like, ooh. Yes, bitch.
Don't you ever raise your voice at me. I am your mother.
So, Hereditary, the new horror sensation, the movie that will scare the pants off of you. Audiences are fainting, crazy. It was you know, every year when like a weird horror movie comes out, they're like, you've never seen something like this before. Your mind will explode. Like when The Witch came out, everyone was like, oh my God, you know, and it's like, sure. I mean, I feel like there was stuff in here that certainly is not in mainstream movies at all.
Sure.
Certainly. But it wasn't that scary.
I was never scared.
A couple of times I went, oh, I don't care for that.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, I don't like those ants. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. And when he killed her, I was like, oh God.
That's vague.
Sorry. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, wait, hold on. So I would say, if you like horror movies and you're into the slow burn 70s kind of weird, what's really going on here movies, I think you'll like this movie. I don't think you were ever really going to like this movie. I didn't love it, but I find things I can appreciate it about it, and I found it interesting enough that I would say you could go see it.
Yeah. The only box that this checked for me was Toni Collette.
She gets her own box.
Yep.
Toni Collette box.
Toni Collette's in it. It's XXX. Yeah, I'll still go see it.
Oh boy, I forgot about that. Was not good.
Not good.
So yeah, so Hereditary starts. Oh, so I would say spoiler alert.
Yeah, we're gonna...
For sure talking about all of it, so if you were at all interested, I do think if you're gonna see it, don't watch this.
Yeah, because...
Shit happens.
Shit happens, and I don't know, if I went in knowing what was going on, and I would be really bored. Like, then I really wouldn't care about this movie.
Right.
So, like, if you have any interest in seeing it, you should see it.
It starts, and we get introduced to the dollhouses.
Oh, yeah, this was so weird.
The most fun thing about seeing this movie was watching Andrew just be like... The whole time, it was great. And then the weirder it got, and it's not like a matinee with like a bunch of elderly people that were like, I'll wander into this movie, I've been here all day. And I was just like, ooh, goody, I want to get into what's happening in their minds, because shit's got weird, and they didn't pay for this movie, they clearly walked in, yes! I was into that. I was having fun with that. But that was mostly your face.
Well, so it starts, yeah, it's like these little miniature houses or whatever, and then it like zooms in on this bedroom in this clearly miniature house.
Yeah.
And then...
Sort of like fades into a real house.
But was it?
Well, because I genuinely thought you were going to ask me at the end of the movie, was the whole thing a miniature dollhouse? And then it panned out, and it was like...
I wouldn't have been surprised.
It was like the end of Men in Black, like, oh, and then the monster was playing marbles with Earth, you know? Oh, better collect my marbles and go home for the day, you know?
I wouldn't have been surprised.
It's like a Twilight Zone
Some weird
episode.
demonic child is just like, ha ha ha!
I like the idea of, like, mundane, everyday dollhouses. Like, that That was interesting to me. Like, so it's panning in, and there's like a miniature laundry basket. You know, like, usually dollhouses are like, everything's pretty and cute.
Because it wasn't a dollhouse, it was a miniature house.
It was a miniature house. But you don't usually see those. You usually see dollhouses. That was a fun theme throughout.
It was,
you know?
and it was at least a visual and, like, interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, when she, jumping ahead, spoiler alert, when she makes that...
The miniature of her daughter's crime scene?
I was like, oh, that's fucked.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was when... We'll talk about it. I found this movie to be interesting.
Sure.
I thought it dragged in the middle a lot.
Yes.
It started and I was like, oh, I'm intrigued. What's really going on here? Then it really sags. And then it really picks up, I think, and started to get more interesting. I think they definitely should have introduced Toni Collette's sleepwalking earlier. Because there weren't a lot of scares or even creepy things for the first hour.
Yeah.
So had there been a little more danger, a little more, wait, what was that? Because they have a few little things here and there, like she turns out the lights in her studio and there's like an apparition of her mom. And I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
And I loved it. There was no jump scare. There was no,
yeah, exactly.
It was just like, wait, is that, oh.
Because that's the stuff that I really
That's the
hate.
stuff that creeps me out. Well, no, I hate jump scares.
Yes.
Don't like them. I love the like, wait, is that really there? Oh no. That, when there's no sound to follow it up and it's just like, did I see that? I think I saw that.
I mean.
Oh no, I mean, we'll get there. So that's the kind of horror movie that I get more interested in than like, bang!
Sure, yes.
It starts, I feel like it tapers off a little in this theme, but like it starts and everything's very symmetrical.
Yes.
It's very Wes Anderson does a horror movie. And the soundtrack, oh, we didn't talk about the soundtrack.
Oh boy.
Well, the soundtrack, at first it just sounds like sort of didgeridoos, you know? Just,
yeah, it was very like generic horror to me.
I think that's wrong in that, like, I would say generic horror is like, bang, you know.
I guess that's true. I guess just to me this felt
it was
like
atmospheric.
Sure, this would have been the perfect example of a movie where if you had changed the music on the same picture,
It would have been a black comedy.
Not even Mary Poppins could have come down. Like, it was just like, here we are in this idyllic forest and everything is nice except for dun 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 dun. You know, it was like, and the problem for me was just that I was like, well, this movie, nothing was happening for so long, and it was just this like, ooh, creepy music.
That's why I think had it had a more driving force of, again, I really think the sleepwalking should have been introduced earlier. Instead of just, oh, this little girl is weird, what's her deal?
Right.
Because she wasn't really creepy to me.
No, she was just strange.
She was just odd.
Yes.
And we'll talk about what I think was going on with her and how I think it's an odd choice, how it was played.
Okay.
Because pretty much right from the beginning, everybody's pretty weird in the movie. I mean,
Sure.
I feel like Gabriel Byrne plays her husband, and I feel like he did a great job. He was really good at sort of just being this steady ship,
Yes.
and then slowly but surely being like, what the fuck is going on? Like, he was just trying to maintain.
Yes.
But it starts at the funeral. It's already weird. Toni Collette is like, my mother was a very private person. She had private rituals. And I was like, red flag, what? Red flag. Why are you talking about rituals?
Right.
What do you mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? And I was already like, what?
She had private rituals, private friends.
And
then she's like, I think she would be surprised that you were all here or something like that.
right.
I guess it was all the naked people that show up later?
Yes? The cult people?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Okay.
There was like, I wavered on this movie because I feel like the tone is simultaneously doing its job and also off. Like, we laughed a lot.
Yes.
I don't think at the right moments.
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot of things that like seem obvious.
Yeah.
And then they are.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what's going on here exactly? What are you trying to tell me? Like, it starts and the little girl they're at the funeral.
Yep.
She's eating a candy bar. Gabriel Byrne goes, does that have nuts in it?
Right.
No, it doesn't have nuts, Dad. And then to double down on it, Toni Collette then goes,
does that have nuts in it?
that
I don't
doesn't have
the
nuts,
EpiPen.
right? We don't have her EpiPen. If she doesn't have nuts. And it was like, foreshadowing.
Subtle.
I mean, I guess the nuts didn't kill her. So maybe maybe that's why it was like, ooh, oh, you fucking thought it was going to be the nuts, didn't you? You thought those nuts were going to kill her.
I mean, they kind of did.
Kind of. We'll talk about the nuts for a while.
Oh my god,
when we get to those nuts, I'm going
Oh
to talk
my
about
God.
it.
Well, I mean, I wish this seemed so weird to me, where it was like, where did this candy bar come from? She seems to constantly be eating chocolate bars.
She does.
So it seemed like not a weird thing, so then it would be like, why would the parents be like, does that have nuts in it? Whereas like, if someone gave it to her,
Yes.
or if...
I thought the exact same thing.
If it was just
some
like...
creepy cult person,
Sure.
we don't know they're creepy yet. Oh, hi, darling. Are you sad about your grandma? Here's some candy. Hey, does that have nuts in it, lady? Then there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, it was very willy-nilly with the nut allergy, I felt.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have your EpiPen. Why don't you?
Right?
If it's that serious,
bring it with you all the time in your purse.
why don't you? She doesn't seem to have one around her neck at any time.
No. She also doesn't seem to really be aware of the nut allergy, so that seems weird.
Can we talk about her?
Oh boy.
I have questions.
Is she an 80-year-old woman?
Is she 9 or 90? I don't know. She's acting like
Yes.
9.
Yes.
And then later we find out she was actually 13.
Right.
Which still felt weird.
Yes.
She forces her to go to a party with her older brother, like at a high school party. And I was like, at 13?
Right?
This seems bizarre.
It seems really weird. It's like, what kind of party do you think this is, Toni Collette? And why do you think that
Well, I mean, I feel like we shouldn't be trusting Toni Collette's judgment.
Well,
Which we find out later, throughout.
whose fault is it, Mom? Why was she there?
The son also seemed adopted. Just like
Sure.
genetically.
Yes.
I was like, where did he come from? Maybe Gabriel Byrne's not the dad.
Oh, maybe Oscar Isaac is? Because they seem more related.
Because Gabriel Byrne is 22 years older than Toni Collette.
Wow.
He looks great. Right?
Yeah, he looked good. I wouldn't have,
It didn't seem that disparate.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, the first hour feels like, isn't this creepy? And it gets a little boring.
Yeah.
Because there aren't enough, I feel, little plot points or moving forward of a plot or creepy stuff happening,
Nothing happens, April. Nothing happens for an hour. I checked my watch 7 times.
You did. You were
and I was
really
just
good.
like, Jesus Christ, it's only a half an hour in. Jesus Christ, there's still an hour and 10 minutes left. What? It was just like, oh my God, I was going crazy.
I wasn't going crazy, but I was definitely like, I need the ball to start rolling.
Yeah.
And then, oh boy, something started rolling. Well, so we get to the party.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy. Yeah. Okay. Oh my God.
Are we going to talk about it?
Yes, we have to. Okay.
We didn't talk about the house.
Oh, we have to talk about the house, because the house was lovely.
Loved this house. Didn't even care that it was apparently haunted by devil worshippers. I mean, just sage that thing, and
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
I'm still in for this house.
In for it. This craftsman, gorgeous.
Stained glass,
Yeah.
and the open floor plan,
Yeah.
the ladders.
Yes.
And Toni Collette looks great.
Yeah.
She's got a fabulous linen sleep shirt, and I was like, yes, Toni Collette. Like, I was into what was happening.
Sure.
I just wish a little bit. I feel like if they had trimmed up the first hour, I would have liked this movie more.
This movie could have been an hour and 42 minutes, and I would have been much happier.
Yeah, and apparently the original, cut, the first cut of the movie was 3 hours. And I was like,
Christ.
Jesus Christ. But we haven't talked about the grief group.
Well, no, we also haven't talked about the symbol.
Oh, right, we haven't gotten there
Because, well, it starts off at the beginning. When
Yeah.
the grandmother
Mother's
has the
wearing this
necklace, the
necklace.
mother's wearing this necklace,
Yeah.
and then the daughter saw something about it, or I forget exactly where.
It
There's
was on the telephone pole.
Well, that's later on. And I was like, oh, that's interesting.
The symbol
God.
is symbolic. But yeah, so she goes to this grief group.
Oh, yeah.
We kind of get the sense that obviously she did not like her mom. Nobody's really sad that she died. And she's like, oh, should I feel worse? Like, I feel like I should
Right.
feel bad about this, but I'm kind of relieved.
Oh, yeah, so she goes to the grief group and tells the story about her mom's life.
Oh, boy. Well, I mean, so at first she's just like, whatever. I don't really need to talk about it. But anyway, so my dad had, severe schizophrenia and starved himself to death. And then my brother hung himself because he had schizophrenia.
And he blamed his
or no,
mom,
his
but-
dad had manic depression.
Yes.
His dad had manic depression. And, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
And this is when I started to be like, oh, okay, heredity,
Yep.
mental illness, okay. It's all sort of... the themes are
Yes,
coming
bubbling.
alive,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
And this speech was almost funny. Because it was so just like, what?
Yeah,
Like,
so
it's
that
just
was
like-
her life.
So anyway, and then this happened, and this happened, and
Yeah.
this crazy shit happened, and
Yeah.
it was kind of like, there was very often moments in this movie where I was like, what?
Yeah. Well, it was kind of like black humor, really. Dark humor. It was just,
I honestly, I don't know. I feel like this movie was almost more of a black comedy. Like, it was a slow burn, and there was obviously moments of horror, but
not really.
it was
more
kind
of a black comedy.
comedy. And,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not being marketed that way. It's not being touted that way.
No,
Or critiqued that way, but that's how I felt about it.
I agree.
Yeah, some of the shots were even comedic looking. It was like Tim Burton-y or Brian Fuller, like when they're at the funeral and she's wailing at home.
later.
Just, and it was
Powerful, yet also...
the performance was there.
Yes.
And yet it was over the top in a way. And then what made it even more over the top was the dead cuts to her still wailing at the funeral, you know, this wide shot, and it pans down into the dirt. It felt like right on the precipice of a black comedy.
Yeah.
And maybe that says something about us. I don't know. I was like, I don't know.
I mean, it wasn't.
Because there was other people laughing.
There were other people laughing at multiple parts of the movie.
Multiple different moments.
I think both with and at the movie, or maybe that's how it was intended. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
And I was never scared. I mean, it deals
Not
with
really.
dark, like, you know,
I was
witchcraft
depressed.
and whatever.
I mean, the middle 40 is just sort of a
heavy
grief-stricken drama. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't think this movie would be, like, remind me of, like, August Osage County. You know, it was just like, and then they sat around the table and brought up old wounds and, oh boy, you know, it was like, oh, this is heavy.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, with a different score, this could straight up be a black comedy.
Come on, Peter. Yes, you soon.
And a few editing choices.
Yeah.
You know, here and there.
Yeah.
Like a sort of sad yet hilarious take on the trials of mental illness and you know what I mean? Like it was there. It was there.
Yes.
And I don't know if it was on purpose. I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, it was a weird movie, which I appreciate. Like, I can't say I didn't like this movie because there was so many things I hadn't necessarily seen for a while or in a while, you know, and it pushed boundaries, showed a lot of stuff that isn't in other movies. So, like, I was happy it got made, and I'm happy it's getting money.
Yeah.
I think it could have been better.
Yes.
And you obviously definitely think that.
Yeah. In some ways, this movie reminded me a lot of Mother, but, like, not as pretentious and obnoxious
Certainly
and
not
like
as pretentious.
certainly not
Not
saying
as heavy-handed.
No, Mother said like was trying to say so much, or was it? I don't know, but
attempting to say it all.
He was just really heavy-handed with all of the message pushing, right? And this I felt like was almost the opposite. I was like, give me a little bit firmer of a hand. At the end of the movie, I was like, I don't entirely know what happened.
I mean, I think that's somewhat the point.
Okay.
I mean, it is an ambiguous ending in a way.
Is it?
Because at first you're kind of on Toni Collette's side. You're like, oh, she's just this woman struggling with things, but you don't necessarily think she's crazy or mentally ill.
I don't know if I ever did think that she was crazy.
Well, so that's what I think is interesting about the movie. Is she mentally ill? Is she driven to madness by what the circumstances that are happening? Is any of this happening?
Sure.
Is it all the mental illness that has dripped down through the family, or is it really devil worshippers?
Right.
That's what I found interesting.
Sure.
Had it been a little more ambiguous about is this happening, isn't this happening, I might have been more into it.
I would agree. Particularly because there are parts at the end that we'll talk about where I was just like, but this is just utter nonsense.
I mean, I think ideally you would be like, oh, I'm so scared. Ideally, that's what they were going for. I'm so scared.
I mean, if that's a horror movie, then I'm fine. Like,
I find it very interesting that certain horror movies are scarier for certain people.
Sure.
Like, I find movies that are psychologically scary and, like, about madness and all of that more interesting because of all the female hysteria, lock them in an attic, throw them in a mental institution, they're clearly crazy. Oh, they were just women trying to live their lives. All of that stuff is way more scary to me, where it might not be as scary to you.
Well, I find that kind of stuff scary, though, in, like, the powerlessness of it, and, but I never felt that.
No, there was never, like, a looming, threat.
No.
Really? There was a creepiness. What's happening? But there wasn't a, like, is something gonna get you?
That's where
are the guys with butterfly nuts gonna come get you? That never happened either. Like, insane asylum.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, sure. I would have liked a little bit more of like a scene where she really sleuths it out. They started to touch on it, but I would have liked a little bit more like,
I think the pacing could have been better.
Much better.
It's basically very slow and then picks the fuck up.
Yeah.
Right?
But it picked up too fast, I think, for me, where
Yeah.
it's like I would have liked more breadcrumbs spread throughout.
Right, so she goes to this recovery group.
Right.
And at first it's sort of like, oh, I don't really care. My mom died, we weren't close. It's sort of blasé about it. And then it all starts to spill out. The mom had DID.
Oh, yeah, she did say I had DID.
Yeah,
and it's
not Toni Collette,
the mom
the grandmother. She said, oh, she had DID.
Right.
So it was like setting up this theme of
Yes.
the heredity of mental illness.
Yes. And when then we find out much later, I
Yeah.
agree it should have been earlier, that
Toni Collette
had sleepwalking.
Sleepwalking. I mean, this was creepy, and I really
where
wish
she had
dug-
doused her kids
dug
in
into this.
paint thinner and herself, and she...
the casual way she explains this story,
Right.
just like, why don't you and your son get along? The
Oh,
lady,
right.
Why don't you and your son get along? Well, this one time I woke up, and we were sopping wet, and I realized we were all covered in paint thinner, and I was holding a match, and well, the match is what woke me up, and it woke my son up too. And I tried to explain to them that I would never set them on fire, never ever, but they didn't believe me, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? And
Yeah.
they're like, what? She's just sort of like, yeah, I mean, it happened, but God, can we move on?
Right. But I just also wish that we'd had that a little earlier.
It would have been so much better, because then there could have been creepy stuff about, like, is it her sleepwalking? Or even if we don't know she's sleepwalking
Right.
yet, right? There's something going on. There's noises in the house. There's creepy things happening. And then later we reveal, oh, wait, was that her sleepwalking? Or was it some ghost or some demon or something?
Well, and I felt like they didn't explain it quite well enough, so I'm going to go ahead and skip forward a bit.
Yeah.
So basically what I got was the grandmother,
Yes.
her mother, was possessed by one of the 8 demons of hell.
She wasn't possessed, to my understanding.
Okay.
She was worshiping him
Okay.
and wanted to glean the profits from invoking him. What do you call it? Awaking him? What's that called?
Yeah,
Summon him.
sure.
Whatever.
Sure.
Summon him to Earth.
Okay.
He needs 3 heads.
Oh, I missed that.
There was a picture where she's looking through the books and he's on a horse and he's holding 3 heads, and I was like, oh shit. So he needs 3 sacrifices, essentially. Then he's summoned into a body and you will reap the rewards.
But there was something about an agent
And
of
her son.
chaos or something, too. That's the demon person.
I think that means he's going to come to Earth, and because he was like the god of mischief or something.
Right, that's
something
what
about
there was
mischief.
something about mischief. And that was when I was like, oh, so I thought she was possessed by the god of mischief or whatever, and
I
was
don't
like,
think so.
and was like fucking with that. Like, it was like, oh, I'm gonna make you crazy.
I mean,
oh, I'm gonna
maybe-
make you starve yourself.
Was she? Maybe she was, and maybe is that her mental illness, or was she actually possessed? You know what I mean? That's
Right.
that's what's kind of
Sure.
interesting. Is like,
Sure.
it's like in 12 Monkeys when you're like, Bruce Willis is like goes back in time, and he says, I know the future, and they're like, well, clearly you're insane, but he's telling the truth.
Right.
You know that he has actually time traveled, and you're like, no, believe him. Oh, this is terrifying. And it's like throw him in the
Right.
mental institution. He's great. He's clearly crazy.
For me, I didn't even pick up on the 3 heads. Like, it was so fast, that exposition, that I would have liked it to be a little bit more.
It might be. I don't think you're planning on rewatching this movie. No. It might be a movie that like.
I'm sure there's more to unpack once you know everything that's going on, and it's
Dig
like, oh,
in
there's
there.
a little thing there. Like, oh, there's a symbol above him in the, whatever. I'm sure that there's
Right.
that detail.
Yeah.
I didn't pick up on a lot of it, even though I was bored out of my mind for a large part of this movie.
I mean, I think that might be why you didn't pick up on it.
Maybe. So there was a lot of weird dialogue where, like,
Yeah.
they come in after the funeral.
Right.
And they come into the house, and the dad's like, all right, everybody, shoes off.
Well, he was also obsessed with how cold it was all the time. He was always, it's freezing in here. It was freezing last night. I gotta close the window. It was freezing. I don't know what that was. I mean,
I think it was just literally cold
He was
outside,
like,
and
what
everyone
is
was acting like crazy.
Why is
people.
everyone? Yeah, I mean, he is sort of like the voice of reason. Like he's sort of the quote unquote sane one of the
Yes.
family. He's generally like, okay, whatever, I'll go with the flow. And then at a certain point, he's like, look, this is not okay. We need to shut this down. I thought he was handled well. I thought that all the teenage stuff was handled really well in its stupid mundanity.
Mundaneness.
In its mundaneness. The dialogue between the teenagers is very just like, hey, oh, hi.
Yeah. Oh, how's the party?
Do you like the party? Yeah, it was awkward and real, and they weren't pretentious or precocious or quippy. It was just like, they were just dumb teenagers. I was like, this seems very real.
Yeah.
But he says in that text,
yeah.
there's a huge party at Aaron's tomorrow night. Bring your dick. It was just like...
Stupid.
So silly. But we get to the party.
Oh my god. So Toni Collette is like, young lady, you didn't do something or whatever, like, you need to go to this party with your brother.
And she's like, what are you doing outside?
Right. Oh, yeah,
without your shoes on.
Yeah, because she like ran outside to look at her grandmother do a seance with fire. I don't know.
We're gonna get to the party, I swear.
Yeah.
But I think what was happening was the daughter, because we find out later, Toni Collette didn't let grandma see the son at all.
Right.
And once the daughter was born, she got to be in her life, and she says a line like, "Oh, and then my mom took over and totally
she got her claws
in her and all these things."
I didn't let her anywhere near me when I had my son, which is why I gave her my daughter, who she immediately stabbed her hooks into.
And the daughter at some point says, "Grandma wished I was a boy."
Right. Oh.
So I think the grandmother had been grooming the daughter from a young age
to be the vessel.
Was possibly already possessed by the guy, partially at least. Because I couldn't figure out if they were saying she was mentally handicapped, the daughter. Like, was she mentally handicapped? She was at least on the spectrum.
Sure.
And or possessed? I don't know what that says about this movie. But, you know, she was socially awkward. She didn't make a lot of eye contact. She was in her own world. She was not
that's fair.
adjusting, whatever. So that's what I think was happening, was that she was possessed in some way. I mean, we haven't even talked about the tongue pop. We haven't even talked about it. I mean, would it have been, maybe that's what was funny?
Well,
like, because it was supposed to be scary.
Right.
Or whatever. But every time it happened, I just pictured Alyssa Edwards, and it wasn't scary. So it wasn't, wasn't scary.
It was funny. No, it was not scary at all.
It was silly and funny.
Yes.
So the party.
Oh my god.
So Toni Collette says, you have to go to this party with your brother, get over there, blah, blah, blah. They're driving there, they drive past a telephone pole.
And on the back side of the telephone pole is the symbol, the mystery symbol. And I was like, that seems really strange.
I mean, I think you could put it all down to somewhat
demons.
A curse.
Sure. Yeah.
Somewhat like it was in the stars, it was in the fates.
The demons are making it happen.
This was always going to happen kind of thing. But we get to that party, the most absurd shot of the movie.
Oh my god.
Teenagers chopping nuts.
Aggressively just chopping nuts.
I mean,
oh my god.
And they were walnuts, which are expansive.
Yeah. Just like...
You know what teenagers love? Walnuts! It was crazy. Walnuts.
This is where I laughed very loudly and I felt bad.
It was pretty absurd.
I mean, it was so absurd. They walk in and just...
So many nuts.
So many.
That's where I'm like...
Is this a black comedy?
It's a black comedy. What's the point of that shot, right? Either it's trying to so lull you into... This is obvious. She's going to have a nut reaction that you don't see what's coming next.
Being that the family's all crazy?
Being that she gets decapitated and doesn't die of asphyxiation from nuts.
Sure.
Either that's what's happening.
Okay.
And it's like trying to be like, no, look over here while I do this over here. Or it's a black comedy. Like, I just don't know.
I don't know. This whole scene is so much. So he walks into the party, chopping the nuts.
It really seems like she shouldn't be there.
Thank you.
Age-wise. It just seems wrong.
Yep. He walks up to the girl that he likes, and he's like, oh, hey. And she's like,
hi. It was really funny.
It was. I laughed again.
But that, I think, was for sure on purpose.
Yes.
It's the filmmaker's choice.
And then he's like, how's the party? And she's like, are you asking if you should come or not? Like, what?
You're currently at the party.
Oh, let's go smoke some weed. And then he disappears and he's like, look, they have cake. Go eat cake. Yeah. I don't know how they baked the nuts into the cake already when they were just chopping them.
Very fast.
Cake bakes.
And I'll say this. If they were purely on top of the cake, that's on that little girl.
Either
she
way,
was not taking her nut safety seriously.
you could see in one of the pieces that was
copious
cut,
pound
it was
of
like
nuts?
a layer of nuts. It was very obviously that there were nuts in that cake. Nonsense. Unless she just, maybe the demon wanted it. I don't know.
Maybe.
Shouldn't she have known? I mean, I'm assuming if they have an EpiPen or whatever, that like she's had an allergic reaction
Hey,
at some
honey,
point.
you're going out to somewhere unknown.
Bring your EpiPen.
Take it. Just take it. Just put it in.
Always have a cute little
Put it
bag.
in your pocket.
Have an EpiPen.
Just seems like a good idea.
Absolutely. Like, it doesn't seem like a good idea. It seems like the
the
only
only
thing that
idea.
you do when your child has a severe nut allergy. She has a bag, and in that bag is her EpiPen all the time. And I don't understand. This is nonsense. Whatever.
So she's like, or whatever, and the son, who has just smoked, so we don't know if he's a little high or whatever, drags her to the car, starts driving very fast to the hospital.
Yes. This seemed weird to me too, where I was like, you should just, call 911. First.
I think he didn't want to break up the party. He
Sure.
didn't want to be that guy that...
Sure.
That's what I took from it. He didn't want to
Okay.
be that guy that called an ambulance at a high school party that got everybody in trouble.
Sure.
Which is fucked in its own right.
Sure.
But I think that's what was happening.
I guess. I'm like, your sister's dying. Who cares? I also would have been like, does anyone have an EpiPen?
But no, he doesn't. He's driving her to the hospital, 80 miles an hour,
Yep.
dark, dusty roads, no lamppost, no nothing. And she can't breathe, sticks her head out the window to get some air because she can't breathe, and he swerves out of the way.
So to avoid like a dead deer?
And she fully gets decapitated. And that's when everyone in the audience sort of turned.
Yeah.
You could hear an audible like, oh no. I just snuck into the wrong fucking movie. I was surprised no one walked out, honestly. The amount of elderly people in our theater, I'm surprised. Just like, oh, this is not the shit that I didn't pay for but clearly walked into. No! No! I'll go catch the last 20 minutes of Uncle Drew, or whatever the fuck that movie's called.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no.
So he is fully in a state of shock.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought the actor was really great.
Yeah.
But he's just has a full, it was a long shot, but this shot I appreciated of him just being like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't even,
It,
like processing,
Yes.
Tears.
yes.
Did this happen? What the fuck do I do? Just,
Yeah.
but not, it's all internal. It's all,
Yeah, it's all just-
He kept it all inside.
Yeah.
You know, it was all very just this. And
Yes.
it was good.
It
And I
was
like,
good.
oh shit, and it really let that moment sit because it is shocking. It is like, what the fuck? Because, I mean, in my mind from the marketing, I was like, oh, so creepy little girl's gonna be creepy or whatever. You know, you think she's gonna be, whatever, the creepy one.
Yep.
And then
And
she's
nope.
just fully dead, and you're like, oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry,
God.
what? This just took a hard left.
Yeah. It's more of a right.
Or right, because she was on that side of the car. Anyway, gets in bed. I mean, this was like,
This was where I was like, wait, what?
this was really good. I thought really tragically, like,
Weird.
ooh. The mom, you just hear in voiceover Toni Collette go, oh, good, they're home. We can go to bed. And I was like, oh, shit. Like, this is some dark shit.
Yeah.
And he just goes to bed because he can't even comprehend what the fuck just happened. It actively chose not to have any sort of investigation, police,
Right.
inquiry, hospital scenes,
Right.
none of it. It was very just like, this happened anyway. And we've moved on from any sort of legal
Yeah.
red tape,
Yeah.
all of it. Was there an investigation like he was high? Did they take his blood? You know,
Right.
there was nothing.
Right. No.
And that was a choice.
Yeah. They did have her say that she defended him in her Oscar speech. It seemed to me like there had been kind of, it was like allusions to like,
Sure.
you know, we helped make sure that you were okay from
Right.
this process. So he goes to bed and then she wakes up.
I mean, this was also just like, fuck! Because you know, it's all on his face and him just being like, and you hear her, oh, I'm gonna go get some balsa wood. I'll be back in 20. You know, and you're just waiting for it. Like, oh no, she's gonna find the body. And then just the screaming. Oh, and then they cut to the head. It seemed like those ants showed up quick.
Real fast.
I guess it was hot, although Gabriel Byrne kept saying how
No,
cold
it's
it was. So I don't
There
know.
was snow in those mountains.
Maybe the cold thing was why the body in the attic was so preserved.
Oh.
They didn't smell it at first. It's so cold in this house.
Sure. Was the body there from when they said that the grave had been...
Yeah, a week after the grandma had been buried. Because Gabriel gets a phone call.
Right.
Oh, it's the funeral home. Oh, desecrated. What does that mean? And you're like, what? You know, and then you kind of forget about it. You kind of go, oh, okay. Oh, right, that was happening. So we don't know. I mean, I'm assuming that Joan or some of the devil worshippers put her body up there. Like, that was her final... She was like, you know, I'm going to die, so definitely decapitate me and give my head to Payman?
Something. Payman.
Give my head to Payman.
Is payment for payment?
Oh, boy. No. Oh, but we didn't talk about... Well, so we talked about the, like, ominous didgeridoo music, but we didn't talk about how it sounds like there's a nightclub half the time.
Oh, yeah, what was that? I leaned over to Avaryl and I was like, is that the movie next to us?
Is that Jurassic World being really loud
Like,
next door?
I was like,
no.
It sounds like they're in a club. Like, it literally was like...
Oh, I always thought that was someone's boombox. Oh, mother, you know we live above a nightclub. It was, it was a choice. I was definitely like...
What?
And they lived, like, in the middle of
nowhere.
Woods, so it was like...
It's not like it was ambient noise. It was like, where is this coming from?
Payman. He's a real...
He's a real club kid.
House music addict.
EDM.
He's really into that EDM. Yeah. That would have been good.
Oh my god. If only there was like a fan, like a...
Would have been so silly. It turns into the others at some point, right? We meet Joan.
Yes.
Joan.
Whatever.
And Dowd.
Yeah.
From Good Behavior. If you're not watching Good Behavior, check it out.
Cool.
It's good.
Okay.
She has said, oh, my son and my grandson died too. So they kind of bond over that, and they have a couple of meetings, and then they happenstantially meet at the art store.
Yeah.
She was staking that place out, right?
Yes.
She was fully in that parking lot
She was following her.
A while. Yep. And she's, oh my god, I feel so much better. I've had a revelation. I had a medium come over to my house and I talked to my grandson and I feel so much better. And no, I know you're thinking I'm crazy and I thought I was crazy too, but it's true. This all felt weird.
Really weird. So she's like, come on over.
And they
play Ouija.
They play Ouija. Ouija.
With what, a Ouija board?
Ouija.
What?
It's pronounced Ouija, not Ouija. It comes from the French and German words for yes. Oui and ja. Ouija.
They have a seance.
Yeah.
Chalk is writing out, I love you, Grandma. I love L-U-B-Y-U, Grandma.
Weird.
And so Toni Collette believes, or she thinks she believes,
like, I'm
right?
interested, yeah.
And then this is when the weirdest ADR line happens. Joan is like, okay, but you should try this on your own, basically, and try and summon Charlie and talk to her because it'll really be therapeutic for you. And she goes, here's this note. Here's this candle. You have to light the candle and then read this gobbledygook ancient language, Sumerian, whatever. And she goes, but make sure that your entire family has to be in the house. She clearly said room. But it was like, make sure they're all in the house. It was really weird. And I was, it's just like odd. Did you notice? It was really weird. This is when you're really like, oh, Toni Collette has either jumped into the madness.
Yeah, she's crazy now.
She's fully lost it because of the tragedies, or something more nefarious is happening.
Sure.
We're not sure.
Sure.
They have the seance, and Gabriel Byrne is like, this bitch. He's just like, I have been very patient with you sleeping in the treehouse next to those open space heaters. The fire safety in this family, much like the peanut safety in this family,
God, right?
Suspect. There was just a lot of open flames and space heaters. And that was the scariest part of this movie.
Right? I kept waiting for something to burn up.
I was like, oh no, there's candles lit in an attic where no one is watching them.
Then they burn the house down.
I was fully expecting the house to burn down.
I'm confused as how it did not. We will talk about it.
Okay. She wakes them both up, and they're going to have a seance. Toni Collette gets possessed.
Yeah. I mean, I love this too. She seemed like she had just done a lot of coke. She's like, oh my God, you guys.
Peter, wake up. I got to show you something. Like, it was like, and she was like a wild animal.
Yeah.
Oh my God. She's hopped up on, whatever, seance. Anyway, wakes them all up, and she's just like already crazy manic.
Yep.
And then gets possessed by her daughter because the voice of her daughter is coming out of her body. It was all very like, ah. The son starts breaking down and crying because he's just like, this is too fucking much. Like, this is craziness.
Yeah.
And then we really start to get into her sleepwalking kind of becomes a thing that starts happening.
Sure.
Actively happening in the movie, because this is actually probably my favorite scene. So she, in a dream, she's talking to him. She says, why do you hate me? Why are you afraid of me? Oh, well, I didn't want to be a mother. I didn't know. My mom pressured me into it. I never wanted you. I tried everything I could to have a miscarriage. And he's like, what do you mean? What did you try? Oh, everything that they told me not to do, I did. I was like, oh my God, this is like such a terrifying conversation. And then gradually throughout the scene, they get wetter and wetter and wetter. And then it's like, oh, she's been dousing them with paint thinner, or has she? She wakes up.
Yeah.
That was a great scene.
Yeah.
I was into that scene.
Yeah, it was cool.
More of that I would have liked.
Was that the ant scene or no?
Yeah. It's like turns into phase 4 and it's like,
yeah, it starts and she's like following all of these ants and then they're like a trail into his body that's just like decomposed with ants, but then it turns out that like it was also a dream. Or was it?
Or was it?
No, it was.
Or was it? Well, and then so the son starts to kind of get weirder, right?
Yeah.
Banging his head on the desk.
Well, that was where he starts to see the little light. The lights.
Oh my God, we didn't talk about Tinkerbell. The Tinkerbell keeps showing up. Oh, Tink, clap if you believe in her, clap. That was good.
Clap! Don't let Tink die! Clap!
Oh my God. The first time I saw it, I laughed out loud.
But yeah, so he's slowly losing it more and more, thinks he's possessed. This is when Toni Collette starts to kind of discover what's happening. She discovers this headless corpse.
Yes,
in
her
the
mom's
attic.
headless
I think
corpse.
it's my mom, but I don't know because it's her hands, but her head's missing, or whatever. It's been there the whole time. Oh, what's that smell? They keep kind of saying, oh, what's that smell? Gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been her fucking body cooking in the attic. Ah! She's trying to destroy the book. I mean, she's great. I feel like had her performance not, like I definitely wouldn't.
Had it not been Toni Collette and not been like really great, this movie would have been really bad.
Yeah. She's fucking great.
Yes.
So she gives this whole desperate, like, crying speech to Gabriel Byrne about, like, you have to burn this book. It means I will die because we're connected and I will be set on fire, but like you have to burn it because we have to save Peter and you're the love of my life and I love you so much. And she kisses him and it's like very tragic. She's like basically saying goodbye and
he's like, you're crazy, I'm not doing this.
He's like, I'm not playing this game with you anymore.
And she's just like, I don't know what to do. So she grabs the book and she throws it into the fire and then
Gabriel Byrne is alight with flames. How that didn't catch the entire house on fire.
Thank you!
I don't know. Did he really catch on fire?
I mean...
I don't know.
I mean, the kid finds him later.
Was that all a fever dream? I don't know. You know, it could be a lot of things.
It was... I don't know.
It was Payman. He knows he can control
He's Mischief.
He's the keeper of the flame.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Mischief, because he was like, oh, you think you're gonna die?
Yeah.
He's gonna die.
Oh, right, so she was like, oh, I found Ann Dowd, this woman, and whatever. I mean, she didn't do a very good job of explaining it to her husband. I think that was probably a pretty big mistake.
This is when it amps up. He gets set on fire. Then I thought this show started creepy, got silly. He's sleeping in his room. It's dark. You kind of
see, I was like, wait, what's that in the corner
You
there?
kind of go, what's? Oh, wait. Oh.
And I was like, is it going to be another apparition? Oh, is it Toni Collette up in the corner?
I mean, it was.
And then it was. But then it got more and more absurd.
So at first it's just like the Lost Boys, you know, it's like she's like floating around on the ceiling, just like, and then here's Kiefer Sutherland, you know, or whatever, and you're like, I mean, it's not that silly yet, It
Yes.
gets that silly.
Yes.
But the first shot is just sort of like, is she there? What is that?
Yes.
Oh, it's sort of a body. Oh, I don't care for this. Those kind of shots creep me out. I'm like,
Sure.
oh no,
Sure.
oh, I don't care for that. It was
Sure.
really reminding me of, and by the end, it was really reminding me of The Sentinel, this old 70s. It's just like a bunch of naked people show up and this devil. It's the devil,
you
it's
go.
the devil.
There you go.
It was like Rosemary's Baby, The Sentinel. It was all 70s, ish. Then he kind of wakes up.
Yeah. He's like,
Oh, and then she like Howl's Moving Castle or something. She sort of just
it was
like she want. I mean, it was like
so absurd. I think at this point maybe the entire theater laughed.
yeah, for sure.
It was
sure. But it was silent.
Yeah.
And he then runs to the attic.
Which was so stupid. He runs all the way downstairs.
Well, repeatedly throughout the film,
Oh, no.
Andrew would say, "Why are they doing that?" And I said, "Because it's a horror movie." "Why didn't he just run out the front door?" "Because it's a horror movie."
Yeah. Why is no one turning on the lights?
It's a horror movie.
Stupid.
Mom?
Right? Hello?
Hello?
Anyone here?
Payman, are you here?
Right? Run out, get in the fucking car and be like, bye!
But
My dad's burned to a
he
fucking
finds
crisp
his burn-
downstairs.
I mean, he's been through a lot.
A lot.
I feel like he's gonna need a lot of therapy.
lot
Well,
of
I mean, now
therapy.
he's Payman, so he doesn't need the therapy, but...
What happens to the poor girl at school? That's what I'm afraid of.
Oh boy.
She's gonna be like,
she's
oh,
Rosemary.
hey! And then
She's Rosemary. She's gonna get impregnated by Payman's baby. That's the sequel. Right, so he runs up to the attic, finds the body.
he finds...
Oh, no, wait. Oh, we forgot. The creepiest part of the movie. He's wandering around the house. Mom, it's all dark. And then in the very shadowy distance, we see some George Hamilton looking motherfucker.
yeah.
Tan, older man just going naked. Just, and he doesn't say anything. He's off in the background, and I did not like it.
No.
And I was upset.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's creepy.
I was like, oh no.
Mm.
But then, yes, he runs to the attic.
Yeah, I was like, that's so stupid.
There's a bunch of candles lit.
Yep. Fire hazard.
Unsupervised candles.
Fire hazard. Pillar candles, too. Those can fall over real easy.
Very dangerous
Yeah.
in this fully
Dry
timbered house.
Yeah.
I still love
It's
the
not
house.
weatherproof.
I'm going to sage the house.
Yeah.
And I'm going to love it.
Yeah.
I guess when Grandma died, the curse and or Payman and or whatever passed to the daughter. But she was always weird. Well, no, we never met her before
No, we didn't.
Grandma died. So
We
maybe
didn't.
that's when
Maybe
it
that's-
passed.
yeah.
I'm not sure about the timeline
knows?
of that.
Yeah.
Toni Collette has either been possessed or fully lost her mind.
Oh, at this point, yes.
I mean, she is
Oh, yeah.
flying around.
Oh, yes, she's flying around. So then somehow she gets up in the rafters, and then she starts sawing
She
her
starts
head off.
flossing her head off with a string, and I was like, "Oh no, this is very upsetting. I don't like this."
No, not at all. It kind of reminded me of the Snowman, where he, with the wire cutting. No.
But this was better because it wasn't like snowman, she's cutting off her head, and the sun jumps out the window, and then I loved this sound work. We just hear, it sounds like a dog panting, but it's her cutting her own head off, and then you just hear thunk, and you're like, oh fuck, that's the third head.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I didn't catch the heads though.
This is the third head.
There you go. Ooh. So then Tinkerbell shows up
Tinkerbell then shows up, yes.
and flies into his back.
So he wanders up the ladder into the treehouse, and there's more creepy devil Payman worshippers.
Yep.
Naked. Some of them have sheets, some of them don't.
Some of them don't. The large, fatter one with the big dick did not.
Well, most of them were kneeling up in the
The
treehouse.
younger, cuter one had a sheet, and I was like, couldn't we switch those?
Rude.
If I have to look at naked Payman worshippers, at least they better be hot. Not the point of this movie?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But it was like so crazy, it was absurd.
Yeah.
And that's why I was
And surreal.
slightly unnerved. I mean, it almost became a Buñuel movie. Like, it became absurd. And
Yeah.
so I wasn't scared, but
No.
I was having a good time. Like, I was still enjoying myself, and I was
Sure.
like, what's this?
What's
also,
this?
Andrew's face is bananas, and this elderly person next to us is like, what the fuck just happened?
And I'm just going like...
And there was like two teenage girls behind us
Oh,
going
yeah.
like, ah. So I appreciate that. It was a good theater-going experience.
Oh, and then there's like the grandmother's decapitated head on like the crown thing.
Oh wait,
and
but
whatever.
then remember Toni Collette's like flying around like the Headless Horseman?
No.
When she cuts her head off, her body was like...
Oh, sure. It was nonsense. This was so stupid to me that I was just like, this is absolute, utter nonsense.
But I was loving it because I was like, yes, the Headless Horseman body of Toni Collette is flying around in this movie. Yes! This is happening in a movie theater. I love it. I was having a good time at this point. So he gets up there, he sees all the devil worshippers. There's lots of like didgeridoos happening.
Yeah. And then we hear Endowed.
Then we hear Endowed, and then we turn and we see this like Santa Fe style lawn art of like a Jesus bride.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Well, it was something that the girl had drawn.
Well, so she was always making weird
drawings. And then there was the whole thing with the weird toys.
Creepy,
and, yeah,
you know, like
she cuts the head off the bird.
Thimble for a head. There was like weird stuff was going on. So I guess she was possessed from the beginning.
Maybe, or at least, from the beginning of the movie. That was after the grandmother.
And it was
died.
like a way station because we needed a man. There was something about like it needed to be a man.
Because then Endowed says like, "Oh no, Payman, like you are Payman. This is you now, and you're Payman." And I don't really know what else she said, but it was something
King
like,
of Hell.
Yeah, you're one of the 8 kings of hell.
She starts to give a history lesson about Payman.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, well, shouldn't he know this?
No, he's I don't know.
It seems strange.
Bow to me, I'm Payman.
Right? I don't know. It's just like, sorry about that inferior girl body that we gave you. Like, now, here's a boy body.
Hail Payman.
Hail Payman.
Ah.
Yeah.
And then Joni Mitchell's Both Sides Now starts playing over the credits, and I'm, again, totally confused. I was like, so is this a comedy?
That's right. I was so confused.
That was totally like wasn't that crazy? Joni Mitchell. You know, that was such a choice.
Yes.
That I really think... I'm taking this as a black comedy.
Both sides now.
I'm taking this as a black comedy because I laughed a lot.
Yep.
I was like
never scared.
I was like, ooh, spooky, and like, oh, what's that? You know, and then also, ooh, what's going on? That's crazy. Oh my god, the headless body of Toni Collette in a beige house coat is floating around. That happened. Is it on purpose? I don't know. It was just. I can't say I didn't like it because I did enjoy the reach of it, the craziness of it. I haven't seen a movie like this in a while. I mean, apparently the director said a lot of the influence was from The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover, which is this, that movie is crazy and scarring and great and crazy, and Helen Mirren. So maybe.
Sure.
It's because that movie's kind of black comedy. I don't know. I don't know what this movie is.
No.
I like that. I like that I didn't know what to expect and I didn't know where it was going, and then I was like, what? It could have been trimmed.
Yes. I agree. I at least appreciate that it was different.
Yeah.
Not my jam.
100%.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, she's here.